We
And
all
sometimes we got to do things we're not the best at, but you know what I always admire about you? You do it anyway.
yeah, somebody
right.
got to do it.
Somebody's got to do it. And you're like, I'm going to raise my hand and do it. So Robert, how are you?
I'm wonderful. Thanks for having me.
Well, we're glad you're here. We're really glad you're here.
Well, I'm representing.
Robert, where are you right now? What city are you in?
I am in Orlando, Florida.
Orlando,
Yes.
where all the fun happens.
Definitely fun. No question about it.
Definitely fun. And may I ask you just a little bit, if you were to describe you and your company, your mission statement, what would that be?
Well, on the company side, we turn small businesses into big businesses. We've been doing that for about 25 years. We do lines of credit from a business standpoint. So we funded everything from bed and breakfasts to hotels to tech companies, bio companies, cosmetic companies. And we actually create about 200 to 300 brand new real estate investors every year. So I've written best-selling books, Never Chase a Paycheck Again. And so I've been on this financial kick for a long time. But I make money in commercial real estate, and that's where I pretty much build my wealth. But now I'm on a mission to teach other people how to do the same thing.
I have some interesting questions for you. I was in real estate development for 10 years a while back in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I worked with companies like Nucor Steel, General Motors, Cigna Insurance for the Bissell companies. They sold that company for a few years ago for over $1 billion.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was amazing. It's one of the largest privately held companies in the Southeast. And I made it up to vice president and quit to be a missionary. So there you go, right?
Well, that's normally what happens. I mean, we're in the marketplace to get seeds so we can go do what God's called us to do. And that's exactly what you've done. So you did it right. Normally people do it the other way around. They start in ministry broke and then try to make money, elsewhere by hustling and grinding. But that's the way to do it.
So here's my question, because I work with all men.
Okay.
And there were opportunities many times for us to become investors in some of their projects. Remember when the Hornets came to Charlotte? Do you remember that, Robert?
I do. I'm old enough to remember that.
Yeah. So I remember when the Hornets came, and I remember our developer saying, you all have an opportunity. It was all men and me. You have an opportunity to invest in this building. You have an possibility, if you want to be invested in that building. And I always said no. And I lived a pretty frugal lifestyle. Do you find, and I found that these men that were taking greater risks than me, I felt at times that they were foolish, yet many of them wound up much more financially wealthy than me. And do you find that there's a difference in the way that women and men look at taking risk? And how would you talk to women about becoming wealthy and getting comfortable with taking risks?
No, excellent question. I have a ministry. It's called Kings and Priests International, and we have about 9,000 men all around the world. In fact, we have a big men's conference coming up June 9th and 10th, shameless plug. And I would just say that men are, we are risk adverse. I'll say that, that we're very slow, we're very methodical, and there's not a lot of emotions there. But unfortunately, it's not fair. Unfortunately, women do have to work 5 times harder, have to prove yourself. You have to take care of the kids at home in many cases. You're doing a lot of things without a lot of support. And men normally have a mother, they have a wife or girlfriend, and normally there's somebody that is supporting them, like a cheerleader. You can do this. Hey, get off your car. There's somebody that's trying to hold that man accountable. But normally, that woman, unless she's married and have a loving husband and a loving family, normally she's out there risking it all, and emotionally, physically. And the scary part is that the number one need for women is security, right? So financial security, physical security, emotional security, sexual security. I mean, all that security is rocked when you start talking about investment. Now, here's the thing. Now, I have a daughter who is a sophomore at Georgia Tech, and she's a little black girl there, and not a lot of black boys at Georgia Tech at her age group. Why? Because there's more minority women. There's just more women, period, on these college campuses than they are in any place else. Same thing in the workforce. Same thing with number of startups. There's twice as more women that are starting businesses in Georgia and around the country than there are men. So women are almost forced entrepreneurs, forced investors. And guess what? You guys are starting to win. You're starting to win, like your story. Absolutely incredible. I don't know any men who have that kind of story, but women are like you guys like tigers, right? You'll pounce, because in some cases there's no plan B. Those make the best investors, the best entrepreneurs, because you're going to get out of bed in the morning. Listen, we probably made in the last 20 years, I used to know this number, it's around 98 brand new millionaires. 98. I'm talking about people who started with nothing, with a vision, no credit, no money. All they had was just an idea and maybe access to maybe a property or something of that nature. But they didn't come with a whole lot. They took the $50,000, which was on average what we finance these our clients with. They took that 50,000 and turned that into 100,000, turned it into 300,000, into 500,000 over a 5-year period. Most men are not that patient. We want it right now, right? We have different pressures. We're providers. And most of the time our families want what they want right now, right? The child support is due right now. The bills are due right now. Our pressure is a little bit different. But women are patient, methodical, and if I don't do what's right by this money, I can't afford any red bottom shoes right now. You're willing to delay red bottom shoes so that you can one day own a red bottom shoe company. And that is my experience. Out of the 98 brand new millionaires that we've made over the years, 75 of those are women.
Wow.
You know what I also find interesting? It's a very interesting concept you're talking about regarding women. What I find is that women tend to make better decisions than men because they're more methodical. You mentioned that, Robert. They're more methodical. Yet when a woman makes a mistake with her money, she beats herself up. Why is it? I mean, how would you help women elevate themselves in a new kind of thinking, which is with investing, there can be mistakes, yet that is part of growth, right?
Right.
So how would you counsel women to say, make the decision, yet if you get off track a little bit, it's part of the process of getting to the top?
Right. I own a building downtown Atlanta, and Dr. Lee knows that. She's been to the building, and our other distinguished guest has been there as well. But right around the corner from me is a large homeless population of men, Black men. And every now and then, well, the white men, doesn't really matter the color. And I go over there from time to time, and I listen to their stories. And what I conclude from all of it, that they had an issue that they couldn't bounce back from. They let regret and loneliness, they let the mistake happen, and they couldn't bounce back. Women, you guys are great rebounders, great bounce backers. You can multitask. You're like, man, I got to take care of these children, right? There's something, your why is more powerful than your pride. And I'm not saying that men are down. Some of those men have mental illness. They have other issues. But for the most part, a mistake was made in that man's life that he couldn't bounce back from. Either the bank took the money, he lost his job, she left him, got divorced, got behind on child support, went to jail, couldn't get, there's some life event that happened that kept him down that he couldn't get out of. Women, you guys are different. You guys, man, you meet a man, you get a divorce, you lose money, you cry at night, and somehow you fix your makeup, you'll be at church on Sunday, and somehow Monday you're getting out of bed and you're knocking on somebody's door, you're being on somebody's Zoom call, you're reading somebody's book, you are going to somebody's meeting. And that's the primary difference, is that your motor is different, and you don't let it keep you down. And I salute every woman that's watching this. And if you want to become a client of mine, I will deal with a woman any day professionally before men because of that, right? You never know what a person is going to do. If you give them $100,000, and this happens to my company every day, we don't know if they're going to get out of bed the next day, or they're going to call you from Tahiti or get lost, right? But I can tell you that woman is going to do what's right with the money. She just needs an opportunity, just like you.
So how, so what do? They want to become your client. So now what?
Well, if you have an opportunity, if you have a vision, that's really all that we need. I'm reminded of Miss Liberta. She was 73 years old right there in Fairburn, Georgia. She was 74. This is about 5 years ago. She came into our office and she had just lost her job. And she was a janitor at a local elementary school. And she had outlived her 2 husbands and she had 3 sons. They were all older now, but she came in our office, she was crying and she said, Dr. Watkins, I don't know what I'm going to do. They fired me. I have no money. And this is the first question we ask every client. What has God called you to do? What is the thing that's in your spirit? And what she said shocked my whole staff. She said, God called me to own a bed and breakfast. We said, wow, that's interesting. She said, when I was a little girl, I always wanted to serve people and make them breakfast for people. But she had no money, no credit. She had no experience. She had been a janitor the last 28 years of her life. And we challenged her. We said, listen, if you find the facility, we'll help you do it. That's where most people lose it right there. They're like, well, I thought you was going to give me some money. No, you need a strategy. She came back literally 3 months later. And she said, Dr. Watkins, I found the facility in Sonoya, Georgia. It was a foreclosed facility. It was $875,000, way out of her range. She had no credit. But we said, listen, here's the second thing you need to do. If you can raise your credit from a 500 to a 690, we'll get you a down payment. That's when we lose a lot of people as well. She literally came back 90 days later. She had an 800 credit score. We got her $185,000. She did what's right with the money. She used as a down payment, closed on the facility. See, her boys had told her, go sit down someplace. Mommy, you're too old now. It's over for you. Just go sit down someplace. She said, no, this is what I'm supposed to do. She closed on that facility. She opened up Serenity Bed and Breakfast. She owns it today. She owns the real estate. And guess what? The 3 boys that told her to go sit down someplace, now they work for her.
It's amazing. So Robert, though, there was risk on your end, right? Risk, right? Because you're giving $185,000 to someone who has no evidence of really good behavior. How did you make that decision? How do you decide when you're going to invest in someone? How do you decide when you're going to give someone the opportunities? Is there something they present to you that makes you cross that line?
Well, I have 2 underwriters that work for us. So that's a blessing that we are underwriting. And we've been pretty blessed. We just look you in the eye. And if you will follow the simple instructions, if you're faithful over the little, she was faithful to go find the facility. She researched it. She brought it back. It made sense to us. She began to be a good steward over her credit. That was good enough for us. And she had a vision, and there was a demand, obviously, and we did the appraisal, we did the inspection, but she did her part. And our challenge is we don't make any money if we don't invest.
There you go. You got to
We
take
don't
that
make any
chance.
money. We're just
Gotta
like
take that
Shark Tank.
chance.
I talked to Damon Johns. Yeah, listen, we're all looking for the next best thing, right?
Yes.
And we're just looking for people who are willing to get out of bed and go to work. And it can't be for money. It has to be for something bigger. Her big why was, I just want to serve people. And that was magic to my ears.
All right, we're going to see if anyone has any questions for you. What about you, Ms. Butler?
Okay. Well, thank you, Dr. Lee. Dr. Lewis, excuse me.
Yes.
Well, one question that I have is, I can hear the gentleman that is speaking. I really wanted to catch his name again.
Dr. Robert
Watkins.
Dr. Watkins, as you were speaking, the one thing I noted was your passion for everything you said. And I actually believe that what was exhibited to this woman was your passion and your care and desire for her to succeed. And that's a sign of your leadership, because she picked it up and she was motivated to do everything she needed to do. And I think when you bring respect, women respond to respect. When women respond to someone else nurturing them for a change, and really just giving us a leg up when everyone else says no. But I was hearing you saying that, men and women are different, and what motivates them is what drives them. But what I have found in myself is that with most women, we live with our hearts. We live and do things because we really care.
Yes.
And this world is set up at a point right now where we need nurturing. nurturing. This world needs nurturing. And I think that it's no surprise to me that most of the millionaires now, or the newly made millionaires, are women,
Made ones.
because women are picking up the ball. We're not going to let it fall. And I really just want to really thank you, because I heard your love for us. And,
I did too.
and
Right.
I
Awesome.
too would like to be one of your clients very soon.
I'm telling you.
I
Well, I
heard
wish-
that.
Will you
I heard it.
leave us your information in the chat? And
Yes,
make sure
ma'am.
everyone can get that.